Over the years, students have brought some very interesting workbooks to my classes from many diverse areas of business and commerce. Often, the workbook has become extremely complex and unmanageable, with convoluted formulas that are difficult to audit. Many times, all of the problems can be traced to the workbook designer breaking one simple golden rule of data table design, and that is keep data atomic. In the same way that the atom is the smallest basic unit we can divide matter into, a column should contain the smallest possible amount of data. Here's a simple example to illustrate the concept. In this example, it wouldn't be easy to sort or filter column A by first name or last name. If you had observed the keep data atomic rule, you would have split the data into multiple comments, like this. The benefits provided by this simple example are obvious, but it's not as easy to see the problem when a general ledger code or part number contains many different pieces of data. We'll see an example of this type of worksheet in the sample file for this lesson. So let's open Sales Analysis from your Sample Files folder. And you can see in this example that I have a concatenated part number in column B. For example, the value in cell B2 is made up of three different pieces of data. EU being where the product is made, in this case the rest of Europe, 812 being the product ID, and Z meaning that this item is 0 rated for sales tax. I've included the meaning of each of the three fields in columns G and H, even though you won't see this in your sample file. Now, while you could use the mid, left, right and find functions to split the data, you'll learn all about these functions later in lesson 320, there's a much easier way to do this automatically, using the Text to Columns tool. In this lesson, we'll use this tool to avoid breaking the Keep Data Atomic rule. So I'll begin by inserting two blank columns to the left of column C. Then I'll select all of the values in column B and click Data, Data Tools and Text to Columns from the shortcut menu. And the first step of the wizard appears, giving me the choice of delimited or fixed width data. We're going to cover delimited data in the next lesson, but this is fixed width data, meaning that the first two characters have meaning, then the next three characters, and then the final character. So I'll change this to fixed width and then click the Next button. And in this step of the wizard, we tell Excel where the breaks are between each data item. So I'll click just to the right of EU and just to the right of 812. Now I'll click the Next button, and you can see that I could apply special formatting to these items after they've been extracted. But I won't bother telling Excel to do that. I'll just click the Finish button. And you can see that the part number has now been split into its constituent parts. I'll now rename the column headers as region and as part number and tax. And I think I'll also resize those three columns so that they're just the right width. Now, this might not seem terribly important to you, but let me explain how one company fell into the atomic data trap. A couple of years ago, I ran an Excel VBA programming course for an engineering company. They'd designed an incredibly complex system to manage their workflow using Excel, and they believed that they needed VBA programming skills to cater for new requirements that they were unable to implement. The workbook contained huge formulas making extensive use of the mid, left, right and find functions, often nested inside if functions. As soon as I saw the first function, I knew that they'd fallen into the atomic data trap. The system was based upon job ID numbers, each containing about 10 data elements. Once this data had been split into columns, the entire workbook became very simple to work with. In fact, they found that they didn't need VBA programming skills at all to implement all of their business requirements. But students often say to me, "But my users are used to seeing the part numbers, and they won't want to see them split into parts in my worksheet. Well, the solution to that is really simple. You simply add another column and concatenate the first three into it. Like this, equals region, concatenate operator, part number, concatenate operator, tax, and then you'll have the old style part number in your new column. You might even want to hide the other columns so that you don't confuse your users. But you still have the benefit of columns B to D to perform sorts, filters, and any other form of data processing. Well, let's put things back to normal again now by unhiding those columns and deleting that column I've just added. All that remains now is to save your work, and I'm going to save with the new name Sales Analysis 2, and as usual, I'll save to the folder above, my sample files folder. I click the Save button, and you've now completed Lesson 2.1, Split Fixed Width Data using Text to Columns.